Welcome to this episode of the Harpreet Singh Show. I'm a host, Harpreet Singh from Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. In today's program, we're going to talk to two doctors, and we have collaborated with Canada India Network Society, and every month we bring one special person who talks to us about the kind of work that is being done by their organization or by him or her. And the idea is to combine the wisdom of the West and the East. The focus of this collaboration is health promotion, illness prevention, and disease management, and fusion of ancient holistic wisdom of the East with modern evidence-based service of the West. So let's welcome Dr. Arun Garg today, and our other guest will be introduced by Dr. Arun Garg. He's a well-known authority, Dr. Simon Sutcliffe, and he's the former CEO and president of BC Cancer Agency, and he has too much to his credit. So let's bring both of our guests on air and let Dr. Garg welcome him. Dr. Garg and Dr. Sutcliffe, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Very happy to be here, Harpreet ji. This is wonderful, great opportunity. And as you said in your introduction, this is a unique hour or 20 minutes we spend integrative medicine, best of East, best of West, and bring practicing people to our viewers. So very happy to be with you. And it's a great privilege to welcome my colleague, my friend, Dr. Simon Sutcliffe. Dr. Sutcliffe is a former CEO of BC Cancer Agency, has a lifetime contribution in cancer control, in public policy. He's an innovator. He is very active in new drugs, development of new drugs. But most important, our connection with him has been in the context of India. And Canada India Network Society is a partner with his Two Worlds. So Harpreet ji will be talking about Two Worlds, we'll be talking about cancer, and we'll be talking about role of integrative medicine and some of the major issues COVID has done in India to the project Dr. Sutcliffe is heading. So it should be a great program.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Once again, Dr. Sutcliffe, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be joining you both. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's start off with, as Dr. Garg pointed out, cancer. Cancer is a major issue right now all over the world, and you have been dealing with this issue for a long period. Where do we stand today as far as cancer is concerned? And we'll just focus first on basic general terms of cancer, but then later on we'll progress to what all is being done by Two Worlds Cancer Collaboration. So if you can lead us, especially all over the world in Canada, where do we stand as far as cancer research is concerned and spread of cancer is concerned?
So cancer across the world, high resource, low resource, is becoming an increasing burden for everybody. And the real reason for its increase is because as a society, we age. Whether we're Indian, whether we're Canadian, we are an aging society. Cancer is in large measure a disease of people over the age of 55. And so as the population gets older, the incidence or the number of people who have cancer becomes larger. Now, in every country, the number of people who have cancer increases each year. The important distinction is one can't just compare numbers in country A with numbers in country B, because you have to standardize the rate, the number of people per 100,000, so that you're comparing oranges to oranges. And then you have to normalize or standardize to a standardized age distribution to compensate for older societies like Canada versus younger countries like India in terms of their age spectrum. And so we end up with a number that is controlled for rate and a number controlled for the population age distribution. And what we can say is in highly developed countries, the actual age standardized rate is going down slowly, i.e. we are getting better at controlling cancer. But in 80% of the world, that statement is not actually true. 80% of the world where the majority of the population actually live, cancer is an increasing problem, as indeed are all non-communicable or non-infectious diseases. And the real problem with that statement is the disease is going to become more common and more of a burden in those countries that are least well resourced or well equipped to deal with that increasing burden of disease.
Right. So a lot of research has been done, Dr. Sutcliffe, and if you could just tell us a little bit as to what does the research point out to? Is it our lifestyle? Is it our eating habits? Or what is the major reason that the incidence of cancer is increasing?
So I would say that the over the last 50 years, the major change in research into cancer has really been to show that cancer is a genetic disease. Cancer arises because the way our genes function is changed by cancer and gives rise to uncontrolled growth of cells that no longer have the normal restraints that our normal cells and organs have. Now the question becomes, so what causes those gene changes to take place? And in a relatively rare or unusual set of circumstances, those changes are passed on from parent to child, so-called hereditary type cancers. But that's probably 5% or less of cancer. 95% of cancer is actually acquired during one's lifetime.
Okay.
And the majority of cancers really reflect the accumulation of the challenges of a lifetime of exposure to various problems. Now, clearly, a problem can be bad luck. You can have a catastrophic event in genes that gives rise to cancer. But in large measure, we know that at least 50 to 60% of cancers are actually caused by the things that we have control over in our environment, whether it be smoking, obesity, alcohol abuse, sunlight exposure. All of those things give rise to an increased likelihood that we will develop cancer. And what that really says to us is, yes, we can get better and better at treating cancer, but that is an expensive proposition and an increasingly expensive proposition. So what one would really like to push for is it would be much better if we didn't get cancer in the first place. That would be a much cheaper alternative.
Absolutely.
And to do that, societally and individually, we have to control the things that are associated with developing cancer.
Wonderful. Thanks for laying the foundation of this talk. It's time for a short break. We'll go for a break. And Dr. Garg, when we come back, you have been always talking about integrative medicine. What does it mean in context of cancer? And of course, we're going to talk about palliative care also. So once we are back, we'll talk about this and learn from you as to how far integrative medicine can help us towards this thing. So let's go for a short break. We'll be back and we'll continue with the discussion.
ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕੀ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ? ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਓਨਰ ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਉਦਾਹਰਨ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਾਰ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਖ ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਸਰੀ ਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲੋੜ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜੀਂਦੇ ਟਰੱਕਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗਾਈਡੈਂਸ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸਪੇਸ ਮੋਡੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਫਿਊਲ ਐਫੀਸ਼ੀਐਂਸੀ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਟਰੱਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਟੌਰ।
ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਰੀ, ਡੈਲਟਾ, ਰਿਚਮੰਡ, ਐਬਸਫੋਰਡ ਜਾਂ ਵੈਂਕੂਵਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵਾਂ ਘਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਰੈਨੋਵੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ? ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਤਜਰਬੇਕਾਰ ਬਿਲਡਰ, ਇੱਕ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟਿਵ ਇੰਟੀਰੀਅਰ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਰ ਦੀ, ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਗਾਈਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸੁਪਨੇ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਉਸਾਰ ਸਕਣ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਜਾਂ ਸੰਦੀਪ 6048259295 ਉੱਤੇ।
ਦਰਦ ਤੋਂ ਆਰਾਮ ਐਲੋਪੈਥਿਕ ਦਵਾਈਆਂ ਖਾਣ ਨਾਲ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਸਾਈਡ ਇਫੈਕਟਸ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਨੈਚੁਰਲ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਸਪਲੀਮੈਂਟਸ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਦਰਦ ਨੂੰ ਜੜੋਂ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਰਕਸ ਫਾਰਮੇਸੀ ਦੇ ਹਿੰਦੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਸਟਾਫ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਕਟਸ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਹਰ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਭੇਜਦੇ ਹਨ। ਅਪਾਇੰਟਮੈਂਟ ਬੁੱਕ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 604 596 1774 ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰੋ 8035 120 ਸਟਰੀਟ ਡੈਲਟਾ। ਦਰਦ ਨੂੰ ਜੜੋਂ ਖਤਮ ਕਰੋ। Once again, welcome back to the program. ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਉਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗੀ ਹਨ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਅਮਨ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਅਮਨ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਚਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਨਵਾਂ ਘਰ ਬਣਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਰੈਨੋਵੇਟ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਟਾਈਲਾਂ ਲਵਾਈਆਂ ਜਾਣ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਦੌੜ ਖਤਮ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਮਨ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਕੋਲ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਕੇ। ਗ੍ਰੇਨਾਈਟ, ਮਾਰਬਲ, ਪੋਰਸਲਿਨ, ਸੈਰਾਮਿਕ ਟਾਈਲਸ, ਕਿਚਨ, ਬਾਥ, ਸ਼ਲੂਟਰ ਦੇ ਕਸਟਮ ਸ਼ਾਵਰ ਬੇਸ, ਫਾਇਰ ਪਲੇਸਿਸ, ਡੈਕਸ ਤੇ ਦੀਵਾਰਾਂ ਤੇ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਲਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਮਹਾਰਤ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਨ। ਹਰ ਬਜਟ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਅਮਨ 7783163510 778 316 3510। ਸਾਡਾ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੇ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਐਕਮੀ ਗਲਾਸ ਲਿਮਟਿਡ ਦੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਨਵੀਂ ਤੇ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਦਿੱਖ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਐਕਮੀ ਗਲਾਸ ਲਿਮਟਿਡ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਫਰੇਮਲੈਸ ਗਲਾਸ ਰੇਲਿੰਗਸ, ਕਸਟਮ ਵੁੱਡ ਕਲੋਜ਼ਟਸ, ਸ਼ਾਵਰ ਤੇ ਟਬ ਡੋਰਸ, ਸ਼ਾਵਰ ਸਲਾਈਡਰਸ, ਬੇਵਲਡ ਵੁੱਡ ਜਾਂ ਮੈਟਲ ਟ੍ਰਿਮ ਮਿਰਰਸ ਤੇ ਕਸਟਮ ਗਲਾਸ ਵਰਕ ਦੀ ਮਹਾਰਤ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਨ। ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ, ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀ ਕਰਾਫਟਸਮੈਨਸ਼ਿਪ ਤੇ ਹਾਈ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਜਾਣੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। ਆਪਣੇ ਨਵੇਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਜਾਂ ਰੈਨੋਵੇਟ ਕਰਨ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਘਰ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 604 543877 604 543 8777 ਅਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਐਡਰੈਸ ਹੈ 8335 129 ਸਟਰੀਟ ਸਰੀ। ਸਰੀ ਕਲੋਵਰਡੇਲ ਤੇ ਫਰੇਜ਼ਰ ਵੈਲੀ ਤੇ ਟਾਪ ਰੀਅਲਟਰ ਹਨ ਜੈਸ ਓਬਰਾਏ ਜੋ ਡ੍ਰੀਮੈਕਸ ਬਲੂਪ੍ਰਿੰਟ ਰਿਐਲਿਟੀ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਸਪਾਂਸਰ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਣੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਆਪਣੀ ਇੰਟੈਗ੍ਰਿਟੀ, ਕਮਿਟਮੈਂਟ ਤੇ ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟਸ ਕਾਰਨ ਅਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਘਰ ਜਾਂ ਕਮਰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਰਟੀ ਖਰੀਦਣੀ ਜਾਂ ਵੇਚਣੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੌਖਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਹੈ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਕਲਾਇੰਟ ਮਹੱਤਤਾ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ 24 ਘੰਟਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕਾਲ ਵਾਪਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੁਟਾਉਂਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ $500 ਨਗਦ ਦੇਣਗੇ। ਆਪਣੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਰਟੀ ਦੀ ਮੁਫਤ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਵੈਲਿਊਏਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਸਲਾਹ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 7789947450 778 994 7450 joe@jaisobrai.ca ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਈਮੇਲ ਹੈ ਤੇ jaisobrai.ca ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਈਮੇਲ ਤੇ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ। So let's bring back our guests today, Dr. Arun Garg and Dr. Simon Sutcliffe, who are an expert in this field, and they are talking to us about the increasing spread of cancer. As Dr. Sutcliffe told us before the break, let's go over to Dr. Garg and learn from him as to how far integrative medicine is important in this context. Yes, Dr. Garg.
Yeah, I think integrative medicine, the word means the best of East and best of West. That's what integrative medicine context is. So West has very good bioscience, biomedicine based on research, and that part I think is already very applicable. What is missing is considering or working with the person as a whole, and that's the holistic approach. So integrative medicine to us is really taking the best of what East has to offer and what West has to offer in disease and health and happiness and harmony. So in terms of cancer, fortunately, in all areas, thinking of the person as a whole helps. So let's take the example Dr. Sutcliffe talked about, prevention or health promotion. So cancer prevention and cancer through good health is very much part of daily living. So I think we can learn a lot from integrative medicine and health promotion and illness prevention. For example, smoking, as you know, was the biggest cause for lung cancer, and the solution is not smoking. Similarly, stress, the sleeping, the diet, and we could talk quite a bit about it. But I think place where in cancer and cancer management integrative medicine plays is in the actual management of the disease. So we have tremendous progress in terms of individual treatment of cancer, major protocols, major drugs. However, the person as a whole still is a person. And I think we can learn a lot from yogic philosophy, from Ayurvedic philosophy, how to consider the person as a whole. So concept of mind, body, and intellect, and how that impacts in healing. And I think Dr. Sutcliffe is really has devoted fair amount of time, and Canada-India Network Society works with two worlds in trying to bring the best of those two. So Harpreetji, for viewers, integrative medicine is a huge thing, and mind, and how mind plays a role in how you feel, how you behave, how you control, is a huge thing. And I think we have to work on it and make sure that people are aware of it. Good thing is, if I may add, this interest is driven by people. A very large number of people are opting and working towards how can I take care of myself through integrative medicine. And I think we in the profession needs to bring that out. There are some very good clinics, and I'm very pleased Dr. Sutcliffe's work has been phenomenal in this area, and maybe he has a word or two in on integrative medicine.
Absolutely. We'll learn from him also as to what is his view as far as integrative medicine is concerned. But before that, Dr. Sutcliffe, if you could point out and let us, our viewers know especially, it's great that technology is being used to fight this disease. But along with that, how far technologies are also responsible for spreading this disease as far as gene dismutation is concerned? You were talking about genes. For example, I've heard a lot about microwaves, that the more microwaves which are being used, they are the food that we are eating. It's not good. What is your view about that?
So I'm not really that concerned about the manipulation of genomes in terms of food security, food quality, etc. Because in a way that is not a mechanism of transmission of disease or by passing genes between ourselves. I think the area where we really have to sort of have a focus on it, and I mean, COVID-19 is a very good example. This is a pandemic. What are the conditions that have given rise to the pandemic? Well, climate change, unquestionably. Reducing animal habitats, reducing deforesting areas, changing the migration patterns of animals and vectors and mosquitoes, live animal markets, bringing live exotic animals into contact with human nutrition, domestic animals, etc., and even air travel. A disease in one country is a disease in every country within 24 hours with modern air travel. So I think the concern about manipulating the genomes as a cause of getting disease is really very trivial compared to the things that we actually do have a substantial amount of control over. But as a society, we choose not actually to exercise that control.
Right. Okay. And as far as integrative medicine is concerned, as Dr. Garg pointed out, Two World Cancer Collaboration and other work which is being done by you, what is your say on this?
Just picking up on Arun Garg's point, I think a lot of it has to do with the control you have over the problem. Now, with cancer, because we focus so heavily on treatment, the control is all with the physician, and it's as if the person is almost irrelevant. It's the physician treating the cancer. I think the tradition in more holistic forms of medicine is we actually need you to have more control over your life and your circumstances and take more responsibility for your health and your illness.
Right.
It's a focus on the person and their environment, and you have a lot of control over that, versus the disease and its treatment, which you have relatively little control. The doctor and the hospital have a lot of control. And so I think that integrative medicine really is distributing the control in a very appropriate way. You want control of the cancer by the specialists who deal with that type of issue, but you actually need to have control over your life and your risks and the context in which you are exposed to various problems that could lead to cancer. And so I'm a very strong advocate of this integration and the pooling of responsibility so that one doesn't have dependency. One has a collaboration of shared ownership, both of life and the problem of cancer.
Right. Great. Again, it's time for a short break. We'll go for a break. We'll be back. And then when we come back, we would like to know more about the Two World Cancer Collaboration Initiative.
Very good.
And I would also like to show to my viewers the kind of work which is being done. So the video which has been presented to us will be shown to the people. So let's go for a break, see this video, and then continue with the discussion as to how all this process which is being collaborated between CINS and other groups, how it is impacting the society, and what we all need to know so that we can also save ourselves from cancer. So let's go for a short break and we'll be back.
ਭਾਰਤ ਪੈਸੇ ਭੇਜਣੇ ਹੋਣ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਮੰਗਵਾਉਣੇ ਹੋਣ ਤੇ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖੋ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਫੋਰੈਕਸ ਨੂੰ ਤਸੱਲੀਬਖਸ਼ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਰੇਟ ਦੇਣ ਦੀ ਇਹ ਗਾਰੰਟੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 6043491313 ਉੱਤੇ।
ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਵੇਂ ਤੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਅਪਲਾਈਐਂਸਸ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਸਟੋਵ, ਅਵਨ, ਫ੍ਰਿਜ, ਵਾਸ਼ਰ ਡਰਾਇਰ, ਮਾਈਕ੍ਰੋਵੇਵ, ਫ੍ਰੀਜ਼ਰਸ ਜਾਂ ਡਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ਼ਰ, ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਪਹੁੰਚੋ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਮ ਅਪਲਾਈਐਂਸਸ ਤੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ 3 ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚਸ ਸਰੀ, ਐਬਟਸਫੋਰਡ ਤੇ ਚਿਲਵੈਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਨ। ਇੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਅਪਲਾਈਐਂਸਸ ਮਿਲਣਗੇ। ਇਹ ਡਿਲੀਵਰੀ ਤੇ ਇੰਸਟਾਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਪੈਕੇजेस ਫॉर ਬਿਲਡਰਸ ਐਂਡ ਹੋਮ ਓਨਰਸ। Call 604-590-4140 604 590 4140। ਸ਼ਾਈਨ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਡੈਂਟਲ ਕਲੀਨਿਕ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਤਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਦੇਖਰੇਖ ਹੇਠ ਆਧੁਨਿਕ ਮਸ਼ੀਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਦੰਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਹੀ ਕੇਅਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੰਦਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਰਨਾ, ਕਰਾਊਨਸ, ਬ੍ਰਿਜਸ, ਡੈਂਟਲ ਇੰਪਲਾਂਟਸ, ਰੂਟ ਕਨਾਲ, ਡੈਂਚਰਸ, ਬੌਂਡਿੰਗ ਅਤੇ ਵਨੀਰਸ, ਐਕਸਟ੍ਰੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ, ਬੋਨ ਕ੍ਰੈਫਟਿੰਗ ਆਦਿ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹਨ। ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਡੈਂਟਿਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਮਾਹਰ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟਲੀ ਬਿੱਲ ਭੇਜਦੇ ਹਨ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਘੱਟ ਤੋਂ ਘੱਟ ਚਾਰਜ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਵਾਅਦਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਫॉर ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਸ਼ਾਈਨ ਐਂਡ ਸਮਾਈਲ 604 503 0320 ਤੇ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ। ਕਿੰਗ ਜਾਰਜ ਸੁਪਰ ਸਟੋਰ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ, ਯੂਨਿਟ 370, 7488 ਕਿੰਗ ਜਾਰਜ ਬੁਲੇਵਾਰਡ, ਸਰੀ। ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦਾ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਥ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਅਰਨ ਗਰਗ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਈਮਨ ਸਟਕਲਿਫ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਰੇਡੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਔਨਕੋਲੋਜਿਸਟ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਕੈਂਸਰ ਜਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਫੈਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ। ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਰੀਕਾ ਮਾਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਵੱਲੋਂ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਰਜਿਸਟਰਡ ਡਾਇਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਨਾਲ। ਇਹ ਆਥਰ ਨੇ ਦ ਇੰਪਾਵਰਡ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਡਾਈਟ ਇਕੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਦੇ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ 18 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਦਾ ਤਜਰਬਾ ਹੈ ਐਜ਼ ਅ ਡਾਇਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ। ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡਾਇਬੀਟੀਜ਼, ਮੋਟਾਪੇਪਨ, ਹਾਰਟ ਡਿਜ਼ੀਜ਼ਸ, ਫੂਡ ਐਲਰਜੀਜ਼, ਗੈਸਟ੍ਰੋਇੰਟੈਸਟਾਈਨਲ ਡਿਸਆਰਡਰਸ, ਮੈਂਟਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਜਾਂ ਓਵਰਆਲ ਸਿਹਤ ਤੇ ਵੈਲਨੈਸ ਮੁੱਦਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਜੂਝ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰੋ। ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਗਾਈਡ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਖਾਣ ਪੀਣ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤਬਦੀਲੀ ਲਿਆਓ ਜਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਿਹਤਮੰਦ ਰਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। 7782405951 778 240 5951 ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਸਾਡੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗੀ ਹਨ AMC ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ। ਹੋਮ, ਆਟੋ, ਟਰੈਵਲ, ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ, ਲਾਈਫ ਜਾਂ ਰਿਕ੍ਰੀਏਸ਼ਨਲ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਲੈਣੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਾਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਹਫਤੇ ਦੇ 7 ਦਿਨ ਖੁੱਲੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਸਵੇਰੇ 8:30 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਰਾਤ ਦੇ 9 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ। 6045076666 604 507 6666। ਲੋਅਰ ਮੇਨਲੈਂਡ ਵਿੱਚ 9 ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚਸ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਰਵ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੇ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਅਹੀਰ ਟਰਾਂਸਪੋਰਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਦੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। Since 1993 they have been helping you out in the transportation and storage industry, and their motto is your cargo is our responsibility. So if you want to transport your goods anywhere in Canada, you can depend upon them. 604-940-9511 604 940 9511 ਦਾ ਫੋਨ ਨੰਬਰ ਹੈ। ਐਡਰੈਸ ਹੈ 8970 ਰਿਵਰ ਰੋਡ, ਡੈਲਟਾ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਈਮੇਲ ਹੈ ahir.com, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ ਹੈ ਤੇ shinda@ahir.com ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਈਮੇਲ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਸੋ ਟੂ ਵਰਲਡ ਕੈਂਸਰ ਕੋਲੈਬੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੁਝ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਸ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਮੁੜ ਤੋਂ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਹੀ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਨੇ।
There are many ways that we can strive to help bridge the gap in global healthcare disparities. We're more familiar with the short-term measures, emergency aid, disaster relief, or humanitarian missions. At Two Worlds Cancer Collaboration, we're really about the longer-term measures, building the number and the capabilities of healthcare professionals to address health challenges. This involves education, skills development, mentoring, and helping craft the healthcare systems that will address the needs of their populations. At the present time, we're actively involved in India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, and our major focus is around those with life-threatening illnesses, palliative and end-of-life support, trying to establish a better life with dignity and a better death.
India and other countries in South Asian region are experiencing a change, a shift. While people are dying because of infectious diseases, we also see a slow rise in people dying of non-communicable conditions like cancer.
The need for palliative care and end-of-life care in South Asia is going to keep increasing. It is as urgent today as it was 10 years ago.
80% of the world's population lives in the lesser resource world. As they live longer, they will develop the diseases of aging, and it's the part of the world that has the least ability to respond to that challenge.
We need help in supporting the programs and increasing the knowledge and expertise in areas in South Asia so that children and adults can be better cared for.
The success of the programs in India provides a sense of optimism that collaborative efforts driven locally and supported by the Two Worlds Cancer Collaboration can make a significant impact.
That support comes from donors who share the same
wish for the population, for the future.
Your support has made a huge difference. It has allowed the program to grow, but more importantly, the impact of the program to tens of thousands of people has also grown. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I hope that your support will continue.
Compassion, collaboration, and partnership. That's what the motto is, Dr. Sutcliffe, what you have pointed out. So we've learned a lot as to what all is being done by this organization. But if you could also elaborate about palliative care, pain management, and cancer, what all is being done in India and how Canada-India Network Society has also played a very important role in this. So could you please tell us a little bit about that?
Certainly. If you have cancer in India now as an adult, there is a 70% likelihood you will die of it. Mm-hmm. If you're a child, there is a 90% likelihood you will die of it. However, if you're in Canada, those numbers are 45% and 20%. Mm-hmm. Huge difference. And it's not a difference because cancer is different in different countries. It's a difference because the circumstances and the context in which you can deal with the problem differ between the two countries. In many ways, it's a function of the level of development of the society and the country, which is a function of its economy as well. And we're fortunate in Canada that we are in a high-resource part of the world. Our real joy is to say India shouldn't have to wait 50 years to reach the same levels of expectation of cancer control that we have in Canada. If we have the knowledge, then we should share it, and we should actually speed up that process whereby India develops the capabilities for healthcare that are comparable to Canada. Now, in many ways, that means training people and building up the capacity of healthcare workers to undertake palliative care. I would say palliative care, even 10 years ago in India, was a very, very underdeveloped specialty. Mm-hmm. People want treatment and they want to think of cancer as a curable disease, but the reality is more than 70% of people actually require care and the management of the symptoms that will follow with their life-threatening disease. Pain management, nausea, constipation, weight loss, fatigue. And to add on to that, the societal burdens of social stigma, distance, separation of family, etc. All of these add to the burden and the loss of dignity and esteem at the end of life. Mm-hmm. So what we're really trying to do is to build that culture of recognizing care is the most important component that is required here, and building the people who have the expertise to deliver that care. That doesn't mean they all have to be doctors. They can be community healthcare workers as well. But you need that environment of care that reduces the burden that the person and the family experience. Absolutely. And that transfer of care is what we do. We do it as volunteers. Why do we need money? Because in essence, we have to start up programs, we have to train people in India, we have to pay salaries of people in India, etc., because they need to develop those skills to do the work that they want to do in their own context.
Dr. Garg, could you add on to what Dr. Sutcliffe has added on?
Very much so. So Canada-India Network Society, the very word is bringing Canada and India together and network. And this is how, as a matter of fact, our relationship with Dr. Sutcliffe started, because we recognized the work Two World is doing, and now we are facilitating, connecting with people. And I myself have visited Hyderabad, where their major center is, and in our meetings we have promoted and exchange and programs like these. So the role of CINS is a facilitator, a catalyst, and an enabler to have people like Dr. Sutcliffe and the programs like Two Worlds succeed. So I think it's really a win-win relationship, and we really appreciate, Harpreet, that you are allowing us to be part of this show and share with viewers how critical it is that we work in this area.
Absolutely. Again, sir, it's time for a short break. I'm extending the program today because the kind of information that is being given is really very, very helpful, can be helpful to the public. So we go for a short break, come back, and in the last segment, we learn from both of you as to what steps need to be taken by a common person to prevent cancer, and anybody who is having cancer, what recommendations would you like to give to them? So we'll talk about this in the last segment. Let's go for a short break. ਵਾਰਡ ਸਰੀ ਦਰਦ ਤੋਂ ਆਰਾਮ ਐਲੋਪੈਥਿਕ ਦਵਾਈਆਂ ਖਾਣ ਨਾਲ ਆਦਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਸਾਈਡ ਇਫੈਕਟਸ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਨੈਚੁਰਲ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਸਪਲੀਮੈਂਟਸ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਦਰਦ ਨੂੰ ਜੜੋਂ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਰਕਸ ਫਾਰਮੇਸੀ ਦੇ ਹਿੰਦੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਸਟਾਫ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਕਟਸ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਹਰ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਭੇਜਦੇ ਹਨ। ਅਪਾਇੰਟਮੈਂਟ ਬੁੱਕ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 604 596 1774 ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰੋ 8035 120 ਸਟਰੀਟ ਡੈਲਟਾ। ਦਰਦ ਨੂੰ ਜੜੋਂ ਖਤਮ ਕਰੋ।
ਘਰ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਹਰ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਨਿੱਜੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਸੁਨਹਿਰੀ ਪਲ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਜੀਵਨ ਬਤੀਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਦ ਕਿਸੇ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨੂੰ ਸਜੇ ਹੋਏ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਬਦਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ। ਨਵੇਂ ਘਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਰੇਮਿੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਨਿਸ਼ਿੰਗ ਤੱਕ, ਡ੍ਰੇਪਰੀ, ਪੇਂਟਿੰਗਸ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਡੈਕੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਐਕਸੈਸਰੀਜ਼ ਤੱਕ, ਤੁਸੀਂ SK ਹੋਮ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੁਪਨਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਹਕੀਕਤ 'ਚ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ ਸੰਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ 6048259295।
ਵੈਨਕਾਸਾ ਟਾਈਲ ਅਤੇ ਸਟੋਨ ਸ਼ੋਰੂਮ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੋਲਸੇਲ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਹਰ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਟਾਈਲਸ, ਸਟੋਨ, ਮਾਰਬਲ, ਬੈਕਸਪਲੈਸ਼, ਮੋਜ਼ੇਕ ਆਦਿ ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਮਿਲ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਟਾਲੀਅਨ, ਸਪੈਨਿਸ਼, ਚਾਈਨੀਜ਼ ਪੋਰਸਲਨ ਜਾਂ ਸਿਰੈਮਿਕ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਜਾਂ ਮਾਰਬਲ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਆਰਡਰ ਤੇ ਜਾਂ ਕਲੀਅਰੈਂਸ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਮਾਲਕ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਇੰਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਜਿਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰੋ 1304 84 ਐਵਨਿਊ ਸਰੀ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹਿੰਦੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 604 330 7363 604 330 7363। Once again, welcome back to the program to both my guests and all the viewers in the world who are watching this program today. It's a great initiative between CINS and the Harpreet Singh Show that every month we try to get you the best of the best in the medical field and we talk about various issues which are affecting us. Today we are talking about the impact of cancer and Dr. Simon Sutcliffe is a well-known authority, a radiation oncologist. So Dr. Sutcliffe, before the break you were talking about this initiative which has been launched in India and it's a great initiative and congratulations to you for that. So now as you said in the beginning that cancer is increasing, but we would like to know from your experience as to what recommendations would you like to give us, what should be taken into consideration in our daily life so that we can save ourselves from having cancer. Of course, the gene part you said is well known, but what other steps can be taken?
So let me start with what seems like a very strange statement. The biggest risk factor for getting cancer is being born in the first place. After you're born, everything thereafter potentially contributes to the risk that you will get cancer. Now, a small part of that is genetic risk, i.e. passed on through the family. That's very small. There are certainly things that one can do with regard to awareness and genetic testing, etc. But I won't go into those because that's a small part of the issue. The much, much larger part is the factors to which we expose ourselves, either volitionally or unknowingly, that give rise to an increased likelihood that we will get cancer. Now, very obvious ones are smoking. In the West, we're obviously very familiar now with smoking cigarettes, tobacco control, and all the legislation and policy things that have come through. If I were to go to India, I would say one of the most common cancers in men and women is oral cavity and head and neck cancers. Very, very difficult to palliate, a nasty way for death to occur. But actually totally associated with chewing pan, beedies, tobacco, various other things that are totally under one's control. They are discretionary and one has the choice. So avoiding tobacco use is a very major factor. Maintaining a good body weight, i.e. not becoming obese, and doing that through good nutrition, choosing a good diet that has a good balance of calories, controlled for protein, fat, and carbohydrate, with fruit and vegetables in the diet. The Canadian Cancer Society would say you should be eating 5 fruit and vegetables of different colors every day.
Right.
And a good practice would be to eat vegetables as a contribution to one's meals in every day. Physical exercise is important. That doesn't mean one has to go out and jog or climb mountains, etc. It may mean one will just walk vigorously and one will spend 20 minutes a day or so in some form of exercise as opposed to sitting on one's bottom watching the screen.
Right.
Similarly, not exposing oneself inappropriately to sunlight, etc., or causing skin burn, which could lead to an increased incidence of melanoma or epithelial skin cancer. Now, the important thing about this is these are very straightforward things over which we have control, other than for some, it is difficult to control them because they relate to our environment and the conditions in which we live in our environment.
Absolutely.
And that's why we always have to think about what are called the social determinants of health that condition what one will be exposed to and what choices one actually does have. And that's why an important point of cancer work is not just the cancer itself, it's the circumstances of dealing with poverty, dealing with the urban environment, dealing with the opportunity to exercise, dealing with weight control, etc. Those are all, it's all a question of the locus of control and exercising the control over the things that we do know give rise to cancer and minimizing our exposure to them.
Very true. And Dr. Garg, your favorite point comes here, how, when and where to what to eat. Could you please talk a little bit about it? Because Dr. Sutcliffe has also pointed out this particular aspect.
Dr. Sutcliffe had just narrated all the health promotion and prevention known to mankind for a long time. So I think if we follow the yogic philosophy of yoga, which talks about yam, niyam, pranayam, breathing, asanas, and mind, I think it is a recipe for health. And I think cancer prevention plays a very big role in lifestyle. So I think just to reaffirm sattvic food, क्या खाते हो, क्यों खाते हो, कैसे खाते हो, कब खाते हो, कितना खाते हो. I think that really 5Ks are the real recipes which is in your hand. But I think one area which I would like to emphasize is the prevention and the screening programs. So the cancer has come long ways in diagnostic field of screening. So cervical cancer, for example, the screening for that. And I think in our community, that is one area we must emphasize, that make sure that you follow the prevention screening programs available for prevention. So beside lifestyle, prevention, and then I think that will go a long ways, obviously, smoking. And smoking is not a major problem in India, but it's the tobacco chewing, which still is a big problem. Right. And I think we need to, in here, even people here, we have to watch that.
Right. Dr. Sutcliffe, from your wisdom, we would also like to know people who are suffering from cancer, what recommendations would you like to give them?
I think there are really two sorts of ways people should think about cancer. And the place one wants to get to is peace and comfort, that the things that one can control, one is exercising the appropriate control over them, that one is not neglecting anything, one is not forgetting anything. And so I think it's important that the cancer is being looked after by medical professionals and that one is receiving the best advice to control the cancer and minimize the disability or the life threat that it poses. And one wants to be comfortable that one's heard the options and that one's exercised the choices that can be followed. Equally and as important is looking at one's life and not just assuming it is a life with cancer, but assuming it is a life notwithstanding the presence of cancer, and then thinking about how that life then has the most meaning and the most value, not only to the person, but to the family, to the community, and to society, and thinking through how one will maximize well-being by controlling the environment and controlling the things that one believes will be healing in their practices, looking after one's health and exercising control over one's health. And feeling and being healthy does not mean that one does not have cancer. It means despite cancer, you are going to feel healthy and do the right things that one wants to do. And also looking after the considerations of family and others in terms of wills, estates, and making sure that if one is in fact going to die of the disease, one is leaving this world with one's affairs in good order and having made the choices that one wished to make.
Right. Okay. And finally, Dr. Garg, could you just talk a little bit about palliative and end-of-life care treatment that has been given by this institution in Telangana and Hyderabad areas, and also in general terms, as far as India is concerned, from the holistic point, what would you like to tell us?
Yeah, so I think Two World has a very special program, and Dr. Sutcliffe started this training. So palliative care, I was very fortunate to visit the hospital, met Dr. Gayatri there, and I think it's a program which is worth supporting. So the whole Two World is designed around cancer control. And in India, major emphasis is in training of palliative care, and which was unheard of. And it's very positive in the sense I could say from personal experience, having visited it, that it's real. And Harpreet ji, if I may also use this moment to emphasize the need right now is urgent because of the COVID. COVID has created a tremendous pressure on healthcare system everywhere. Right. And in India, especially in Two Worlds program, it's so much needed. Small donations from our listeners and viewers will go long ways in improving that care. So absolutely. We also request through your program that please consider supporting the program by going on the website as per video. In terms of palliative care, it's a emerging and evolving field even in Canada. But I think, again, if I could bring the integrative medicine approach, this is where Canada can learn from India, because the whole notion of life and death is very well embedded in our lifestyle. Absolutely. And I think the meeting we had in 2018, there was a major emphasis and learning from Indian context of the perspective of death. And all the faiths in India kind of incorporate this. So I think there is a learning which could be brought under the holistic approach to palliative care.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, both of you, for sparing your valuable time and being with us today. And towards the end, Dr. Simon Sutcliffe, if you could tell us the website where people can go and learn more about the work which is being done by you, and also if they want to be a part of this movement by donating, which website should they visit?
Thank you very much, Harpreet. The website is www.twoworldscancer, that's all one word, TWOCANCR, twoworldscancer.ca, www.twoworldscancer.ca. And any donation actually helps, because Canadian money goes a long way in India, and even very modest amounts can do an extreme amount of good. And in many ways, this relationship with Two Worlds Cancer is about a relationship with India, and it's about helping India. And that's what the donations go towards, particularly at the stress of COVID-19 on the programs there.
Dr. Sutcliffe and Dr. Garg, once again, thank you very much for this valuable information what you have given to us, and we wish you the best of luck, that may your program succeed and people find succor over there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed for inviting.
Thank you. ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਅਰੁਣ ਗਰਗ ਅਤੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਈਮਨ ਸਟਕਲਿਫ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਕੈਂਸਰ ਦੀ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ, ਇਸ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਨਜਿੱਠ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਇਹ ਦਿਨ ਬ ਦਿਨ ਜੋ ਚਿੰਤਾ ਵੱਧਦੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕੈਂਸਰ ਦੀ, ਇਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਲਾਈਫ ਸਟਾਈਲ ਚੇਂਜਸ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਸ ਵੱਲ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਧਿਆਨ ਦਈਏ, ਚੰਗਾ ਖਾਣ ਪੀਣ ਰੱਖੀਏ, ਚੰਗੀ ਸੋਚ ਰੱਖੀਏ, ਐਕਸਰਸਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰੀਏ। ਅਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਕੈਂਸਰ ਤੋਂ ਪੀੜਤ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਟ੍ਰੀਟਮੈਂਟ ਕਾਫੀ ਅੱਛੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਦਾ ਕਿ ਬੈਨੀਫਿਟ ਲਿਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਟੂ ਵਰਲਡ ਕੈਂਸਰ ਇਨੀਸ਼ੀਏਟਿਵ ਜੋ ਲਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ twoworldscancer.ca 'ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਾਥ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਮੰਡੇ ਟੂ ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਦੇ 7 ਵਜੇ ਪੈਸੀਫਿਕ ਸਟੈਂਡਰਡ ਟਾਈਮ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਬਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ 6046037555 ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਈਮੇਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ harpreetsing@gmail.com। And if you are liking these programs, we would like you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Harpreet Singh Show, and on the Facebook also, the Harpreet Singh Show. Thank you very much for sparing your valuable time and being with us today. Have a great evening and stay safe.
Karen thought she won a gift card, but we had a much bigger surprise for her. We rise by lifting others. The Sant Motors.
ਕੁਦਰਤ ਦੇ ਸੌਮਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਆਯੁਰਵੇਦਾ ਰਾਹੀਂ 5000 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਬਣਾਏ ਗਏ ਹੈਲਥ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਅਪਰੂਵਡ 100% ਸ਼ੁੱਧ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ ਡਾਇਟਰੀ ਸਪਲੀਮੈਂਟਸ ਦਾ ਲਾਭ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਸਟ੍ਰੈਸ, ਐਂਗਜ਼ਾਇਟੀ, ਇਨਸੋਮਨੀਆ, ਬਲੱਡ ਸ਼ੂਗਰ, ਕਿਡਨੀ, ਬਲੈਡਰ, ਹਾਜ਼ਮਾ, ਆਈਸਾਈਟ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਦਾ ਆਰਗੈਨਿਕ ਇਲਾਜ, ਜੋੜਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਦਰਦਾਂ ਤੇ ਸਰੀਰਕ ਮਸਾਜ ਲਈ ਕਈ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੇ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ ਤੇਲ ਵੀ ਉਪਲਬਧ ਹਨ। ਹੋਲਸੇਲ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ 604 628 2003।